What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news involving the overall market, which you should be watching for as time goes on, and also how things are looking in my personal opinion, at least for the economic data. But before I begin the doubles information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. It's all, for instance, just 2 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's break down what's happening with the markets. Looking at SPY, we got this very, very nice looking pump all the way up to about 550 a share. We're beginning to retrace just a little bit all the way back down to our previous resistance, very close to about 548.5. And if we lose this, I'll be looking at 547 as the next critical support. So it's going to be the two supports. We have previous resistance becoming support, and then the next support zone below that to be watching for. Overall, the market's holding up well. We are on a very, very strong uptrend overall. We are dipping a bit after getting a crazy pump. So the question is, how will things move from here? Well, with the PCE data, the market has pumped quite a bit. We saw SPY break its all-time high. We're seeing the market continuing to push very nicely. And this is actually some good news, at least for us, for the time being. Just notes that the higher we go, the tougher resistance is going to be as we go up to these high levels. But it's worth knowing that this is how things are looking, at least for the time being. Now, when it comes to other pieces of news, I just want to mention that on the economic calendar, we just had the Chicago PMI come out. This was stronger than expected, which caused the market to push, showing some strength for the economy. However, when it comes to consumer sentiment and such, this was also quite decent. The 5-year inflationary expectations is now below expectations, which is not bad whatsoever. And everything else was above expectations in terms of the current conditions report and consumer sentiment. So, not bad data whatsoever. The market's liking this. We do have Bowman giving a speech around noon today, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the data is going to be very minor, but so far, this is helping the market continuing to hold up. So what do I see for the market moving forward? Looking at SPY, I think we're going to be once again shuffling in this 548 area. If we lose this, I'll be looking at 547 as a critical support. We touched this and got a big bounce off of this in the beginning for SPY, so it is possible we try again. But it is possible we kind of dip a bit and try running even more in the future, because this is looking like a giant cup and handle that could be forming. So if we do retrace a bit, we'll be looking for a nice bounce on SPY and a continuation higher. If we start breaking past 550.5, we're going to be looking for a new all-time high, all the way up to 552, then 553. So I'm seeing more upside potential for SPY. But watch this cup and handle like structure, see if we form a cup and then the handle's about to form. But it still looks more bullish overall. It still favors the upside. SPY is still getting bought up, and there's lots of buyers still to continue to defend it. For Nvidia is getting bought back up as well. We're testing resistance around 127, and we have support currently at 125.5, not to mention 124. That's going to be where our other EMAs happen to be. If we lose 124.5, we'll be tipping down to 122.8, and eventually back down towards 120. And once again, we have this resistance at 127 and eventually 129. We're forming a very, very nice looking cup on Nvidia. It's holding up very, very nicely. So there's a good chance that this may continue to uptrend, slowly try to push its way up towards the 130 area. We're kind of shuffling between 125 and 127, but overall, it's building a little bit more strength. We have a nice base that is formed, and we're grabbing liquidity. So yes, there is once again more upside potential. So not bad whatsoever. I think that is looking pretty decent. For Bitcoin is dipping a little bit, little by little, and we have this, potential level to be watching for at 60,500. We are still once again approaching that support, and we'll have to see how this holds up. If we lose that support, we could be looking for Bitcoin to dip a bit. If we hold this, we could be looking for a range, because Bitcoin's been stuck within this range for a couple of days. Where it bounced off 60,500, went up to about 62,500, just went back and forth and back and forth. So we need to bounce right here on Bitcoin. We'll see if we get a bounce off 60,500. If we don't get the bounce, we'll be dipping back down to potentially lower levels, and this could be a double top rejection on Bitcoin. If we bounce off 60,000, we'll be looking for a move back up. So I'll be watching this level very carefully just to see how Bitcoin ends up performing. Watch to see if we get a bounce right here or not. So watch for that. If we don't get it, we'll turn back to bearish, so we'll wait and see. For others out there, we also have the QQQ. This pushed all the way up to about 487 a share, and we came back below 484. So we're still kind of within this range. We have support at 483.35 and also at 482, and we have resistance around 484 and eventually these higher levels. We've been stuck within this range for quite some time, and we're just kind of stuck for now. But we'll have to see if things end up getting a nice rebound or not. Right now, we're just kind of range bound on the QQQ. I think we're going to be stuck between 482 and 486, kind of shuffling in between. But if we end up losing 482.5, we could start tipping back down to 480 all over again. So watch that support at 482.5. My gut tells me it's going to be shuffling a lot as we have lots of options expirations, but we're going to likely be stuck within this range at least for the time being. So I'll be giving this some time just to see how things end up progressing, but that's what I'm seeing at least for the time being on the charts. When it comes to other factors, I want to mention Apple. Apple pumped quite a bit up to 216. Now it's coming back down to 214. If we lose this, I'll be looking at 212.5. Overall, we're still stuck within this range and holding it very nicely. So we'll just have to see how things develop, at least for the stock moving forward. But I think that with this dip coming, we might just see a lot of shuffling around this 214 area. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways price action right here. Unless we end up losing things right over here, we could continue to dip. But with that being said, that's the way I kind of see things. We could shuffle a bit, maybe dip a little bit lower towards 212.5 before we continue to shuffle. But that's all I'm really seeing for Apple. Nothing too crazy, at least for the time being. Supermicro pumped very nicely, only to dump back down. So that's something else that's worth noting. We're kind of struggling to hold above 900. So this is once again showing some weakness. If this fails, this still kind of has like a head and shoulders like structure. If we don't get back above 860, I could be looking for a dip all the way back down towards 831. I'll be watching for that on Supermicro. There could be a risk of some downside coming unless we try to hold back above 860. For Amazon, we pushed all the way up to 200. We got a rejection. Now we're tipping back down. I did mention to everyone that Amazon would likely dip a little bit. So I'll be looking for this previous breakout area at 195. We could be testing that area of 196 breaks. If we hold this, I'll be looking at resistance at 197. So watch and see a potential dip. For um, Meta, we could be dipping lower. We have 515 as support. If this fails us, I'll be looking at 513, then 510. I think there's a risk of it dipping a little bit lower to the 515s before it tries to shuffle. So wait for that. For Coinbase, we pushed all the way up towards 227, coming short of my 230 target. Now we're dipping a little bit. Going to be looking for a test of this area right here. I think 220, then 218 are going to be levels to watch for. Could retrace just a bit, but we have a nice structure. So it's not necessarily bearish or anything, but I am going to be watching to see how it ends up developing. We can even draw out like a little trend line right here. This is going to be our support to be watching for right over here. We could see Coinbase come all the way down here and then try to bounce. So watch for that very carefully. For Microsoft's, we are dipping just a bit. We're actually shuffling right now, but I do see potential for us to actually dip a little bit lower, especially when you look at the 4-hour time frame. We love to hover above our 20 EMA. Could be looking for a move back up to back down to 452 before we try to bounce. So watch for that. And then on Google, it's the same thing. Essentially, we have the potential to be. We dipped down to our 20 EMA as we predicted to 184, excuse me, before we actually came back up. Looking a little bit weaker and might continue to slide towards 184 again. So I'm seeing some weakness on this chart. So that's what I'm at least seeing, at least for the time being. And finally, for Tesla, I think I kind of looked over Tesla by mistake. Sorry about that, guys. Tesla is building strength. It's actually holding up very well. We have resistance around 202. We have support at 200. It's still holding up very, very well, and it has a very, very bullish looking structure. So Tesla may outperform the market and try to continue to push. Watch that 202 resistance. We called this level out earlier. If we break through that, I'll be looking at us to get very close to 204. Overall, Tesla's looking more bullish and has a lot more upside potential. So Tesla's been building strength. It's looking pretty good. And then we'll have to see how things kind of like develop from here. With that being said, those are the important levels I've been looking at. And I want to break down even more information about how things may develop from here. But thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in just a couple of hours. And just know that the market is building some strength. It's still holding up well. SPY is even on a nice uptrend. We are dipping a little bit, but just know the trend is still in favor of bulls unless we lose. If we lose 547 on SPY, then yes, we could be dipping lower, but there's no sign of that yet. So I'll give this some time and just see how things end up developing. But with that being said, thank you for listening. Make sure you watch that 547 support on SPY and see if we hold it. And overall, the market is still looking pretty decent. We pushed to pretty high levels, but resistance is getting tougher. So watch these ranges and just know that the market's at a critical level. The squeeze has been continuing, but we'll have to see if this lasts. And with that being said, have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys in just a couple of hours. Thank you and peace out.